Hello YouTube, this is Matt here again with another Workbench video. I've done a few of these now and quite a few people seem to be enjoying them and watching them as well. About 150 views on average for each one, but hopefully those who are watching have learnt something or have gained some knowledge in some way. This time I have a little weekend project on my Workbench. I've owned this model for quite a while and I haven't really done much with it. Today I'll be working on this Bachmann London Transport Pannier tank of the formerly Great Western Railway. Bought this a couple of years ago, or months ago maybe, for about 35-40 quid. This one is from, I think it's the Metropolitan set that Bachmann produced, and it's not as highly detailed as some of the other panniers which you can buy now. So we're going to have a look at this over a weekend and see what you can do in a weekend. Now I've done a few bits last night which you can probably see already, which was Saturday. A few bits I'm still waiting to arrive, so we're going to have to stretch it out to another day and add it on the end of this video. But I'll talk you through a few things you can do to improve this model and give it a little bit of a lift in terms of detailing and improving the look of it. Firstly, the loco or model hasn't got any or much detail on the front end. It's obviously got its vacuum or steam heat pipe on the front buffer beam, which you can also detail up and replace with a Romford braided version if you wish. But on the main running plate on the front I've added some lamp irons or lamp brackets, whatever you want to call them. It took a little bit of research, and I've been reading through various other people's write-ups on how to detail these sort of models, and I was looking at I think it was George Dent's blog, which I think he does some work for Model Rail magazine, and he put the wrong lamp brackets on the front of his, but I'm going to do it properly because I've seen some pictures. So I did some research looking for lamp iron etchers. Mainly trains do a few, but not the right type. And I came across, I usually use Scale Link all the time anyway for little bits and pieces, but I found these, which are basically lamp iron etchers made by W&T for Smiths. I think you probably know Smiths more for the tyre pullings for the wagons, etc. So these are some etches you can see here. Now I've cut a few off already, and these need sort of bending into shape into right angles. Now what I've done as well is to solder some brass wire onto the underside of a lamp iron or lamp iron bracket, and that gives it a little bit more surface area to be glued in. So I use a little 0.45mm drill bit to drill into the front of the buffer beam, which is where the wire will go into. I'll just zoom in here so you can see a bit closer. You can see they're bent over at right angles, and there's a hole drilled underneath where the wire will go into. A small drop of super glue with a cocktail stick or whatever a pointed object you have. Just add a little bit of glue onto where you're putting the lamp iron and put it into place. I've also added one just in front of the chimney at the top of the smoke box as well, and that sort of adds a little bit more to the front end. Also on the smoke box I've added a turned brass smoke box start or smoke box handle. You can remove the old one with a knife and a little bit of wet and dry sandpaper just to smooth off the details, but before you remove all of it, I mean, it's not bad moulding in general, but some of it is moulded to the smoke box door. That was removed, as well as the one which is actually separately fitted, which is the lead handle. That was removed, and then a hole drilled in the centre for the new one to be placed or replaced with. And then the rest of the dart boss, if you like, where it's actually fitted to the smoke box door, was also removed and filed and sanded away. The main dart holder was then put in. This came from Mainly Trains, this smoke box dart. You can get them from various other places. One I found last night was non-shear modelling supplies. That was £4 for 3 darts, which I thought was very reasonable. And I got 2 from Mainly Trains for about £3.50, I think it was. Anyway, this is the main dart is glued in place, and then the handles are actually soldered into place in a similar position to what was already there. And again, that's quite an improvement on the front end. Other details you can do, I have on order, but they haven't arrived yet, so I'll have to show you that on an extra bit on the end. But I can show you around the bits that I've got planned. On the side of the running plate here, you can see I've marked out a little area here. Now, there's supposed to be a grab handle here going up the step on top of the running plate, but there isn't. I'm going to try and fit one on this one. I've seen somebody else do it, so I'm going to add a grab handle on each side using some short handrail knobs and some wire. I think it's 0.45 wire I'll be using, millimeters that is. But also I'm going to be adding the sand gear, if you like. There's supposed to be a bracket which goes in front of the splasher here, just behind the sandbox filler, which runs from just in front around the side of the splasher and then round the back. And there's an extra I found which you can get from RT Models, which I'll show you that when it arrives, which will finish off the front end quite nicely and again lift the detail of this model a little bit. Also, what I've done to this model on Saturday, you can see in the cab that I've painted the locomotive's back head on the actual boiler back head. Again, this is all painted with cocktail sticks and various other bits using a number of paints. I'll just bring a couple into view now. I use Velio copper paint. You can see the number on there. I also use the gold paint, or brass paint I should say, as well. And then I use a little bit of Humbrol white, Humbrol red as well, and a little bit of silver just to highlight any handles or bits and pieces to the end of the regulator handle as well. Anyway, I'll show you the next stage when the bits turn up, which will be in a day or two hopefully, and we'll see where we go from there. Okay, so you join me a couple of days later as I've had some issues with another kit which I had to sort out. Luckily that's now done, so back to my own projects, and you can see after a couple of days of waiting we've got the parts that we need to carry on. And here's the first one, which is from RT Models. This is basically the sanding gear which goes in front of the splashes. I have some instructions here as well, as you can see here. So that's basically what we're going to fit just around the front splasher of the locomotive or model. Also arrived are some small handrail knobs or handrail holders, and they'll be put onto just behind the step on the front, on the top of the running plate. I've already drilled some holes, some pilot holes already for them. As you can see, it's quite difficult to get into the area just underneath the tanks, so I've had to drill them from underneath, which I imagine I'll probably have to do as well with these sanding gear bits, as well as they require some holes to fit the brass wire which holds them in place. So you'll basically need about a millimetre drill bit for the handrail knobs, and you'll need a 0.3 or 0.4 millimetre bit for the brass wire for these as well. So I'll show you how to put them together and show you one I've already done. Okay, about 10 minutes later, and I've assembled loosely in front of you and in front of the camera the sanding gear. You can see the two parts here on the outside, and this has been assembled with 0.3 brass wire. Now the brass wire you can buy either from various places, from Allen Gibson, or I usually buy from somebody I've already mentioned, which is non-shear modelling supplies. They do 0.45, 0.3, 35, etc. for quite a good price. I think this stuff, when I purchased it, was £2.70, so quite a reasonable price, and you get 10 in a pack. So good quality wire and good quality stuff. You can see the two outer parts here, which run either side of the splasher on the outside. You can also see, I'm not sure if this camera will let me, but I'll zoom in very carefully. But you can see on the ends of the rod, which also has some brass wire on the ends of it. You can see here that goes down into the top of the running plate, so you'll need to drill a small hole which will hold the gear upright. So you might need to drill from the underside of the actual body to actually get at that. But you can see the wire which has been soldered to the ends, and also the ends of the rod have been held and also bent at a 90-degree angle. So this part stays upright, and then this part gets bent over, so it's pointing downwards, and that's been done on both sides, which you can see there and there, and that needs to be done before you put the wire in, which you can see on the diagram as well, which has been provided with this kit as well. That's how they come out. Now, as I say, the 0.3mm rod or wire gets soldered onto the ends. Now, I haven't soldered the wire going through because we still need to put it through the body, obviously between the middle of the frames. You can see the extra part going off behind it. Now, this piece here gets soldered on afterwards, or glued on, whatever you want to do. This gets fixed behind the middle splasher. And now all we have to do is to assemble it, drill a couple of holes, and hopefully paint it black, or chemically blacken it, which is another way of doing it. So let's put it all together now, drill a couple of holes and fit it to the body. After a couple of hours working on this pannier tank and putting the bits I've just shown you onto the model, you can see they're pretty much now all in place. I've also added a couple of photos of the process in between the last one and this one. But you can see all the sanding gear all fitted. The extra middle bit is now glued onto the side of the inside of the splasher. You can just see behind. You can also see the grab handle added on this side and also the other side. And the sanding gear is all attached to a small hole at the front. Same on the other side, and that completes the front end detailing, makes it a little bit more presentable. You can also see I've added some crew in the cab and some coal in the bunker on the rear. I mean, this is just a small little detailing project which you can do over a weekend, and all you have to do now is paint it black and finish it off. So it's a nice little project for the weekend if you've got a spare weekend and it's raining or whatever, especially now coming into the British summertime. It's bound to rain. So hopefully you've enjoyed this little project, which is just a small weekend thing. Plenty of other projects you can see on the workbenches previously, and hopefully you'll look forward to the next one or any other model videos coming up. Thanks for watching, and if there's anything you would like to see being done on this channel, please leave a comment below.